How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Nun Hey, Daf 55 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, today's Daf is Daf 55, and I'd say the most interesting part of today's Daf is the promise. It gets up to the most some very, very famous stuff. It's like the account of the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the second Beis Hamikdash. Like I'd say it's pretty famous stuff. What's kind of interesting about it is that we're learning, not me, tomorrow's the day before Shavuos or B'Tammuz, but basically my friends other than me are going to be studying this daf during the 3 weeks. And it's going to talk about Churban Beis Hamikdash. And you can learn it on Tisha B'Av. This is like one of the things that you're able to learn on Tisha B'Av. So we're going to get up to that. I guess the reason why it's exciting for me is because, on Tisha B'Av, this is the only thing that you can basically learn. You can learn Moed Kat and Oichet. But so many times I've on Tisha B'Av, I've opened up Daf Nun Hey Umud Beis and started to learn on Tisha B'Av afternoon. This is what you learn on Tisha B'Av afternoon is the story of the Churban Bayis. So, and I've never learned the whole Masechta Gittin. So, we're finally getting up to the part that I would, take out on Tisha B'Av, and it's right now during the 3 weeks. Okay. Anyways, but alas, that's tomorrow's daf. Today we're just going to do all the work to get up to tomorrow's daf. It's not overly complicated today. At the end, as we get up to the next Mishnah that leads into tomorrow's daf, it gets a little bit more difficult. But I guess the difficult part comes at the end, but we'll do it today because tomorrow we'll just jump right into the stories. Okay. So, Nun Hey Amud Aleph, 4 lines into Babylon. You never know when it's going to get you. It's interesting. I think I babble you on a lot more at the beginning of the shir than in the middle. I guess I entertain myself. I guess before I get going, I'm tired, but then I get myself all worked up and I don't need a yawn anymore. Alright, do you feel the same way? That as the shir continues, it builds in excitement? Alright. So we can start in Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph, 4 lines into the page by the Mishnah. Hey, Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada testified. Oh, interesting. So if it says that he testified, is this on the day, in Babylon, on that fateful day from Masechta Brachos? Hey, Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada testified ala chireshes, for a deaf-mute girl, Hisia Avia, that her father married her off, meaning she's a katana, she's a deaf-mute katana. She yotza beget, that she goes out with a get. So the chiddush being that even though her father married her off, because she's a katana, and that's kedushin midoraisa, because her father married her off, if she gets divorced, she can get divorced with a get, meaning even though she's a katana, she doesn't have das, and she's married midoraisa, that marriage can be terminated with the delivery of a get to this kitana, even though she doesn't have das. But as Rashi points out, a wife can get divorced even against her will, right? If the divorce, right, if she receives he gives her the get, and then she can be divorced even against her will. So therefore, the point is you don't need consent, you don't need das in order to get divorced, and therefore even a kitana can get divorced. That if you have a kitana bas Yisrael, Shenises Lukoid, and she is married to a kohen, and Rashi points out that we're talking about Kiddushin Derabanan, right? In this case, we're not talking about where her father married her off. We're talking about where her father passed away, and her mother or her brothers married her off. So she's only married to a kohen miderabanan. Okay, that she can eat truma, but only truma miderabanan. Right? I think truma b'zman hazeh maybe. But she can't eat truma d'oraisa because since she's only married midirabanan, because only a father can marry off a katana. So her mother or brothers married her off. So she's only married midirabanan, so she can't eat truma d'oraisa because she's a bas Yisrael. And bas Yisrael can't eat truma. But if she's married to a kohen, she can eat truma. but she's not married midoraisa, she's only married midorabanan, so she can eat truma derabanan. Ve'emesa baila yorsha, and if she passes away, so then her husband inherits her. V'alamarisha gazul, and if a fellow steals a beam, shabno babira, and he builds it into his house, or Rashi says a big house, but he builds it into a house. So he stole a beam and he built it into a big beautiful house. So he stole a beam and he built it into a big beautiful house. So the shaila is, does he have to knock down the house in order to return the beam, or can he just pay the value of it, the money? Sheitol es domov mipnei takonos hashavim, that he could just pay money because of takonas hashavim. Does the Gemara explain what takonas hashavim is? I think it is. No? Yes? No? Yes? No? I don't know. Takonas hashavim is that, well, this fellow stole epis. He's a shtikol nudnik. Now, the point is, we want shtikol nudniks to do tshuva. And the idea is that if we want him to do tshuva, the way to get him to do it is not to destroy his big, beautiful house that he built. That will not inspire him to do tshuva. So rather we say, look, leave the house, pay us money instead. Alright. I mean, it's an interesting concept, meaning, okay. I mean, even if he doesn't break down the house and just gives money, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do tshuva. He might do tshuva, he might not. And also, if you knock down the house, maybe he won't do tshuva, maybe he will. I don't know. Maybe he'll, I don't know. See how serious it is, and he won't steal again. Whatever. I don't know. But anyways, the idea here is that, okay, we want to go light on him, and say we want to inspire him to do tshuva, to show that, look, we're gonna help you out over here. We're gonna work with you. We don't feel do tshuva. If a fellow steals an animal and offers it as a korban chatas, that the people don't know about it, right? Not many people know about it. That it is michaperes, it works. For fixing the mizbech. The Gemara is going to explain what exactly that means. Alright, fine. Zogt the Gemara, Omar Rav, says Rav, Meidusas Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda, based on the testimony of Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda, who said that a kitana can get divorced, right? We said even a kitana whose father married her off, so she's married midaraisa, she can get divorced, even though she doesn't have das. So Omar le'edim, so therefore in a case where a husband says to witnesses, Ru'u gedze shani no saying lo, right? They say to a husband says to witnesses, look, I think in Yiddish it's kikun. I don't know, I don't speak Yiddish. If he says to the witnesses, he says, come, look, I'm going to give my wife a get right now. And then he turns to her and he says, here, take this financial document. So she doesn't know that she doesn't have das. She doesn't know that she's getting divorced right now. She's divorced. Because after all, Milo Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda, because didn't Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda say, Lo ba'inon daita? We don't need das, right? Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda said that a ketana can get divorced, even though she doesn't have das. Hachanami, so here also, Lo ba'inon daita. We don't need the wife to know that it's a divorce document that she's receiving. It could just be a financial document, right? What's it called? A shtar chov, a document of liability, some other document. But in fact, it's a bill of divorce. He told the witnesses that it's a bill of divorce, so she's divorced, even though she didn't realize what was happening. Pshita, we say it's obvious. Of course, I mean, yes, she doesn't need das. So ma'u detema, we may have thought to say, Kevin de Amr kansi shtar chov ze batuli batle. Well, I may have thought that when he first says to the witnesses, look, observe, I'm going to give her a get. And then he looks to her, he turns to her and says, look, take this shtarchov. Maybe what he's saying, he's being mavatal the get. Maybe what he's saying is that, I'm not giving you a get. I'm being mavatal the get. It's a shtarchov. So k'mash malon, im isa debatle, if it was true that he was being mavatal the get, le'edim hava omer lehu, he would have told the witnesses that it was batel, and he didn't tell the witnesses it's batel, so therefore it's still a kosher get. Well then, how come he told? Why didn't he just tell her, I'm giving you your get? Why did he say, I'm giving you a shtarchov then? So because of embarrassment. Maybe he didn't want, he was embarrassed to say that he's divorcing her. Maybe he didn't want her to be embarrassed, whatever it was. He thought that this was the better thing to do, to just say he's giving her a shtarchov, even though really he's divorcing her. There was some embarrassment that he thought it would be better to sweep under the rug. Alright, fine. So we said that if you have a ketana who's married to a fellow, so then she can eat truma, right? She's married to Rabbanon, she can eat truma mid'Rabbanon. Ve'ilu chereshes lo ochla. But not a chereshes, right? Meaning, in the first case in the Mishnah, we mentioned a chereshes who's a ketana, she'isia avia, but conspicuously in the next case, we leave out the chereshes part, implying that a chereshes who's married cannot eat truma. That a chereshes who's married cannot eat truma. That a chereshes who's married cannot eat truma, even though she also doesn't have das, just like a ketana, and she's also only married to Rabbanon, but she can't eat truma. My time outcome. Well, what if a cheresh Kohen who's married to a chereshes, and that marriage will only be midrabanan, and he gives her truma, she's not allowed to eat that truma. Veleichol, but let her eat the truma. Who cares? Kohen nochon nevelasu. It's an example of a kohen who's eating nevelus, right? And there's a machlokas, but right, do we have an obligation to prevent a kohen from eating nevela? And there's an opinion who says no, we don't. And therefore, here also, she's a chereshes. She doesn't know. She doesn't have das. So it's the equivalent of kohen nochon nevelus. Well, shema yachil cheresh b'pikachas. Yes, but what we're concerned about is that if we let a chereshes eat truma, then we also have to be concerned. What if a cheresh is married to a pikachas, and that doesn't cheresh kohen she'en kinyan ukinyan b'pikachas shemut. Right. So if you have a cheresh who's a kohen who can't actually make a kinyan, so he can't actually be married to this pikachas, and therefore she would not be allowed to eat truma. And therefore, if he gives her truma, she's not allowed to eat it. So out of concern that a cheresh might give truma to a pikachas, which would be a problem, so we also can't have a chereshes eating truma. Okay, but at least let the chereshes eat truma d'Rabbanon. At least let her eat truma d'Rabbanon by the chereshes, because she's married midrabanan at least. So gzer shema osi lechule b'truma d'oraisa. We're concerned that if we allow her to eat truma d'Rabbanon, then she might end up eating truma d'oraisa. All right, fine. And a beam that was stolen, that was then built into a house. So the Mishnah had said that you don't need to destroy the whole house in order to return the beam. You can just pay money. So Tanarabban Gozal Marish with no babiri. So if a fellow steals a beam and builds it into a big house, Shammai says, look, we don't mess around. You stole a beam, you built it the house, knock down the house, return the beam. Beisil says, Ein lo elo dmei marish bavad. No, just pay the money. Mishum takonas hashavin, because the takonas hashavin, because we want the fellow to do tshuva, and we figure that if we act heavy-handedly and make him destroy his house that he just built, he's never going to want to do tshuva. He's going to be too upset. So therefore, let him just return money, and that'll suffice in this case. Oh, so now we get to shtikul sugi, that if a fellow steals a korban chatos, a fellow steals an animal, and he brings it as a korban chatos. So we said, what did the Mishnah say? Shelo nodel l'rabban. If the people don't know about it, shehi michaperes, then it works. Mipnei tikun hamizbeach, because of the tikun hamizbeach. What's going on here? Ula dvar teir, it says ula damidei raise bein noda Bein lo noda, whether the people know about the theft, whether the people don't know about the theft, whether the people know that this animal that's being offered is stolen or not. Eina michaperes. Really, it doesn't work, and therefore the fellow who's bringing the korban would have to bring a new one. However, how come, technically speaking, it does not work? Because Yeush Kedi Lokani. Yeush alone is not enough to make a kinyan, meaning, this fellow, right, Ruvain, I was trying to avoid Ruvain and Shimon, why not, if we can, may as well, but alright, but I can't. So Ruvain steals an animal from Shimon, and then, so now Ruvain has this animal. Shimon gives up hope of ever getting it back. That alone is not enough, says Ula. Right? My time, Yeush Kedilo Kani. Yeush alone, the fact that Shimon says, Oy vavoy, I'm never going to get this back. That's not enough to make it Ruvain's, and therefore it doesn't belong to Ruvain. And therefore, technically speaking, he should have to bring another korban chatos. Umatam Omru Lo Noda Michaperes. So why do we say, look, as long as the people don't know that this is a stolen animal, so then we don't say anything to Reuven? Shelo yu kriyanim atzevin, so that the Kohanim shouldn't be sad, because by korban chatos they eat. By korban chatos, the Kohanim eat a lot of the meat. So if they just ate the meat and then they're going to find out that Reuven's chatos was a stolen animal, they're going to feel very sad. They're going to feel very sad. And therefore, to prevent the Kohanim feeling very sad, we say, you know what, forget it. Michaperes, just let's not tell the Kohanim, let's not have to tell Reuven, let's just move on. Because we don't want the Kohanim to be sad that they ate a stolen animal that was offered as a korban. Amrei le'rabbanon le'ula ve'onim mipnei tikunam mizbeach tanan. But the rabbi said to Ula that's a very nice pshat of yours, that you're concerned about the Kohanim being sad. But at the end of the day, the Mishnah didn't talk about the Kohanim being sad. It talked about tikkun ha-mizbeach. Where does the mizbeach fit into this? So Ula said that no. Kevin the Kohanim atzevin nimtzu mizbeach bottle. Well, if the Kohanim are sad because they just got fooled, because they just offered a korban chatos, it turned out that it was stolen, they're not going to want to offer korbanos anymore. They're never going to know, is this a stolen korban? After all, we offered that other korban, turned out it was stolen. So in order to prevent, and then what happens is they're not going to, they're not going to put animals in they're not going to offer korbanos. Does it mean that entirely? Does it mean maybe, I don't know, but we want to avoid a situation where the Kohanim feel like, feel hesitant to offer korbanos, and then the mizbeach will end up suffering because of it. Rav Yehuda disagrees with Ula. He says, "Fakert dvar teire bein noda bein lo noda michaperes." Amida Raise, whether the people knew, whether the people didn't know, michaperes, it works. Right? Reuven brought a stolen animal, offered on the mizbeach, and it works. My time Yeush Kedi Kani, because Yeush alone is enough. Shimon says, Oy vavoy, I'm never going to get back this animal. Well, now it belongs to Reuven. And when it's offered on the mizbeach, so it works as a korban. Matam Amu Noda Eina Mechaperes. So then how come they said that, well, if the people know that this animal was stolen, don't put it on the mizbeach? Shelo yomu mizbeach ochel gezelis. That nobody should get the wrong idea that we put stolen products, that nobody should say, stolen animals go on the mizbeach. So whereas in the ratio we're talking about, do we have to tell the guy that, hey, do we have to tell Reuven, hey, you got to bring a different one? Over here we're talking about, do we never even put it on the mizbeach to begin with, right? The first case was talking about where the Kohanim already offered it, where they already ate the meat, and the question is, are we going to make them sad now? Here it's talking about, should we not ever put it on the mizbeach? Right, that Rav Yehuda says that, look, Yeush Kedi is Kani, and really Reuven is technically speaking the owner of the animal, and we can offer it on the mizbeach. But if people know that Reuven stole the animal, well then, they're going to say that in the temple they allow stolen animals to go on the mizbeach, and that's something, of course, that we'd want that to be avoided. Bishlam le'ula. So now the Gemara says, look, I understand Ula's position about the Kohanim being sad. Hanu de katani chatos. That's why, right, the Mishnah specifically mentioned a korban chatos. A korban chatos. A korban chatos is an animal that the Kohanim eat, right? Part of it they put on the mizbeach, and the rest of it they eat. And Ula is concerned that if we have to break the news to them that they ate a stolen animal, a stolen korban, they'd be very, very sad. But according to Rav Yehuda, who says that we don't want people to get the wrong idea that we put stolen animals on the mizbeach, well then, my irya chatos. Well then, why specifically mention a korban chatos? Afilu ola nami. Also, don't put a korban ola on the mizbeach, because we don't want people to say that stolen korbanos go on the mizbeach. Lo miboya ka'omar, to which the Gemara answers, enochinami. What the Mishnah is saying is lo miboya ola dichalul here. Certainly a korban ola we're not going to put on the mizbeach, because that is entirely burnt on the mizbeach. That's a big meal for the mizbeach. We would not want that to be from a stolen animal. Ela afilu chatos nami. Even a korban chatos, the chelev edamu desalik l'gav mizbeach. That it's only the chelev and the blood that goes on the mizbeach. V'idach ki'anim achlin. The rest the kohanim eat. And I might think that you know what? According to Rav Yehuda, Yeush Kadi Kani, Ruvain owns the animal. We're only putting some fat and some blood on the mizbeach. Maybe it won't be like we're putting stolen animals on the mizbeach. No, afilu achi, even so, Gazer shloyom mizbeach ochel gezelis. Still, they make a gezerah and they say no, don't even put a korban cha. If the people know that it was stolen, don't put a korban chatos on the mizbeach. Because people are going to say that the mizbeach eats gezela. Tonight we learned in our Mishnah al chatas agzula shlonoda l'rabim, that if you have a stolen chatas that isn't known about from the people, shehi mechaperes, that it's mechaperes, that the people didn't know about it. In order to fix the mizbeach. B'shlama le'ula, so this makes sense according to Ula. Nicha. Okay, beseder, if the people don't know about it, so then it works. Ella, the Rav Yehuda, but according to Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda is all about if the people do know about it, don't put it on the mizbeach, because the people get the wrong idea. Right? That meaning, what does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah says that that if the people don't know about it, then it's mechaper. According to Rav Yehuda, the whole thing is dafka the opposite. It's that if the people do know about it, don't put it on the mizbeach, because they'll say that the mizbeach eats gezela. Hachinami ka'amar, to which the Gemara answers, yeah, that's exactly what the Mishnah is saying. Lo noda mechaperes, that if the people don't know about it, then mechaperes noda. But if they do know about it, ena mechaperes mipnei tikun hamizbeach. But if they do know about it, then it's not mechaper. Don't put it on the mizbeach because of Tikkun HaMizbeach, so that the people shouldn't say that the Mizbeach eats stolen animals. Mosiv Rove Asakasha Gonav v'hikdish v'achar kach tovach u'mocher mishalim tashlumei kefil ve'enu mishalim tashlumei abo v'achmisha. Wow. Friends, who could tell, what's this talking about? If a fellow steals an animal, so he has to pay back double, right? Kefil. He has to pay back the animal and twice its, right? He has to pay back twice its value. If he slaughters it or if he sells it, well then he has to pay 4 or 5 times the value. 4 times for a sheep, 5 times for an ox, I believe. Now, okay, right? So if you steal it, it's kefil. If you slaughter it, right, tavach u'macher, then it's arba v'chamisha, right? 4 or 5 times what you stole. Okay, so now, Masiv Rav, Gonav v'hikdish, if a fellow stole an animal, and then he's makdish it, v'achar kach tovach u'mocher, and then after he's already makdish it, he slaughtered it or sold it, Mishalim tashlumei kefil, so he has to pay kefil, because that was before he was makdish the animal, he stole it. Ve'enu mishalim tashlumei arba v'chamisha, but he doesn't pay arba v'chamisha because he slaughtered or sold it only after he was makdish it, so he doesn't pay arba v'chamisha. V'toni alo, and yet we teach about it. Bachutz ki agavna, that if you did the same thing and then slaughtered it and offered it outside the Beis Hamikdash, right? If you offer a korban outside of the Beis Hamikdash, so then you are chayav, I think, kares. So now, if you steal an animal and then are makdish the animal and then offer it as a korban outside of the mizbeach, right? So you steal an animal and then you say, okay, I'm going to bring this animal as a korban, and you offer it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So anush kares, you chayav kares. Yeah, there you go. So you chayav kares. V'yamar Yeush Kedi lo kani, and if you say that Yeush Kedi is not kona, which means that it doesn't belong to him and he can't bring it as a korban, kares me'avite, why would it be chayav kares, right? So meaning, we're saying that if a fellow steals an animal and then he says, okay, I'm going to bring this animal as a korban, and he offers it as a korban outside of the Beis Hamikdash, so he's chayav kares. But in order for him to be chayav kares, that would mean that he's offering kachim outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Now, in order for him to be considered offering kachim, it has to be his animal. If it's not his animal, then he's not offering a proper korban. So therefore, in order for him to be able to offer it and be chayav kares, it has to be his. Now, in order for it to be his, it would have to be Yeush Kedi is kani. So if you say Yeush Kedi is lo kani, is not kani, then it's not his, then why should he be chayav kares? Right? So again, v'yamar Yeush Kedi lo kani, if you say Yeush Kedi is not kani, then it's not his, and it's not a korban. So in kares ma'avita, why is he chayav kares ma'avita? Why is he chayav kares? Rav Shezvi kares midivreim. Rav Shezvi says kares midirabonim. Achichu ale. They laughed at Rav Shezvi. Kares midirabonim miika. What do you mean? What's kares midirabonim? Either you have kares, you don't have kares. What's kares midirabonim? Amlu Rava. Rava said to the people, Gav Rabba Omar Milsa. Lo sachuchu ale. Allah. Look, if somebody great like Rav Shezvi says something, don't laugh at him. Kares ayidei devreim ba'asalo. What he's saying is kares, that because of a din derabanan of hefker bezdin hefker, that's why he's chayiv kares. Okmur rabbanan b'shusei kiechid chayiv Allah. The rabbis made it to be in his possession, so it'll be chayiv for him. Meaning, even if you say Yeush Kedi lo kani, and when Reuven steals an animal from Shimon, it doesn't belong to him. However, if he's then makdish it and offers it as a korban, don't say that he's going to be patur from kares because Yeush Kedi lo kani. No, in that case, the Rabbanan say hefker bezdin hefker. It's in their power to say that the animal does not belong to Shimon, it belongs to Reuven, and now Reuven is going to be chayiv kares for offering shchutei chutz. That's what it means. That because of a din derabanan, right, of the power of the rabbis, of hefker bezdin hefker, it belongs to Reuven, and he is going to be chayiv kares for shchutei chutz. Amar Rava, says Rava, Havade kamibayali. This is the question that I have. When the rabbis say hefker bezdin hefker, and that now the animal belongs to Reuven, so that he's going to be chayiv kares for offering it outside of the Beis Hamikdash, at what point is it considered to be Reuven's? Is it considered, do they make it Reuven's from the time that he stole it, or from the time that he was makdish it as a korban? L'may nafkamina, what's the difference? Well, who does he have access to the shearings or if the animal had babies? That if it's his from the time that he stole it, well then at that point any shearings or children are his. But if it's only his at the time from the time that he's makdish it, well then any shearings and stuff from before then don't belong to him. So my hadar all my rav mistav mishas ekdesha shelo yehei that it would make sense to say that it's only his from the time that he's makdish it, or at least right before, I guess, that he's makdish it, just so that he could be chayiv kares for it. But they don't make it his before then, so that he shouldn't be rewarded by having stolen an animal to now have access to its wool and its offspring. Okay. Friends, now we get up to this next Mishnah. The next Mishnah is not a walk in the park. The next Mishnah is not a walk in the park. The next Mishnah is not a walk in the park. It's not a walk in the park. The next Mishnah is not a walk in the park. Okay, says the Mishnah, there were no sikrikons in Judah when people were being killed as part of the war that resulted in the destruction of the Second Temple. But from after the people were killed during the war, So then there was Sikrikon. What's Sikrikon? Sikrikon are these Ovdei Kechavim Nudniks who go around to the Yidden and they say, Yidla, that's a nice looking field. And he makes them an offer they can't refuse. And he writes a document and he says, look, you're giving your field to me. And then he says, either your signature or your brains goes on this paper. And the Yid says, all right, I'll put my signature on the paper. So that's a Sikrikon, right? He gives an offer he can't refuse. So upon receiving the offer that can't be refused, so the Yid says, okay, Seder, here's the land. So Keitzad, so now, how does this halacha work out? So lokach mi sikrikon, because of a lokach mi bal habai. So if the sikrikon makes an offer that Shimon can't refuse, so Shimon basically forfeited his property to the sikrikon. So again, so lokach mi sikrikon. So now if Ruvain comes and he purchases Shimon's field from the Sikrikon, who made Shimon an offer he couldn't refuse, so Ruvain goes to the Sikrikon and he buys the field from the Sikrikon. The Sikrikon offer, is now selling Shimon's field that he stole, what's the word I was thinking of before? That he, I don't know, I was able to remember it before. It was a good word. But now I can't remember it, of course. The field that he, I don't know, I feel like maybe it started with an E or something. Whatever. The field that he, dag nabbit. Okay, I want to go weiter though. So seized. Does seize make sense here? So the Sikrikon seized the field from Shimon, and now he got it for free. So now he's selling it for all profit, and and Ruvain buys it. So now lokach mi Sikrikon. So if Ruvain bought Shimon's field from the Sikrikon, v'chazav lokach mi balabais, and then he goes to Shimon. It says, Shimon, look, I just bought your field from Ruvain. I know that technically speaking, he made an offer you couldn't refuse. Can you give it to me as a gift? Right? He makes a kinyan on it, mekro bottle. So in that case, it doesn't belong to Ruvain. Mi balabais, but if Ruvain first goes to Shimon and says, Shimon, look, I see that this Sikrikon has put your field on the market. Would you be willing to give it to me? So he hasn't spoken to the Sikrikon yet, but he says, would you be willing to be makne it to me? Meaning for free, because he's paying the Sikrikon, right? Would you be willing to be makne it to me? So then, and the Balabai says, Shimon is makne to Ruvain, v'chazav lokach mi Sikrikon, and only at that point he engaged the Sikrikon. Mikrokaim, it's a good sale. Because in the first case, right, if Ruvain buys the field from the Sikrikon first, and then goes to Shimon and says, Shimon, look, I bought the field from the Sikrikon, the guy who was about to kill you. Do you want to make a kinyan to me? So Shimon's a little bit traumatized, and he says, yeah, sure, whatever you want. I don't want anything to do with this guy, with this Sikrikon guy. But, so therefore it's not a good kinyan, because, we can't trust that Shimon's doing it out of good faith, as opposed to just being scared. Or alternatively, maybe he'd rather Ruvain have it, because it would be easier to get it back from Ruvain than to get it back to the Sikrikon. But if Ruvain first goes to Shimon and says, Shimon, are you willing to be makne the field to me so that I can buy it from the Sikrikon? And he's never engaged with the Sikrikon yet. So then if Shimon willingly is makne to Ruvain, so then it's fine. So then it's a good sale. Now similarly, lokach mino ish v'chazav lokach mino ish. If a husband had a field designated for his wife's ksuba, and then he sells it to somebody else, right? So Shimon has a field designated for his ksuba, and he sells it to Ruvain. So if he sells it to Ruvain, now the thing is, the husband didn't have the right to sell that field. So if he sells it to Ruvain, and then he goes to the wife and says, by the way, can you be makne to me? So mikrobato, no, it's not a good sale. But if he first goes to the wife and says, look, I'm interested in buying this property, are you okay with that? Can you be makne to me? And she says, sure. And then he pays the husband, so mikrokaim, it's fine. Now, Zo Mishnah Rishona, this is the earlier Mishnah. Bezin Shalachreim Amru, but the later courts said, Halukech mi Sikrikon, that if Ruvain wants to purchase a property from a Sikrikon, Nosin Levailim Revia, he pays the Sikrikon, whatever the Sikrikon is asking, and then he pays Shimon 25%, meaning, because the idea is the Sikrikon didn't cost him anything. He seized the field from Shimon. It's all profit. So therefore he's willing to sell it for cheap. So if it's $1,000 field, he'll sell it for $750. So then Ruvain then goes to Shimon and pays Shimon $250. When is this? That's only if Shimon doesn't have money to buy it back from the Sikrikon. But if Shimon does have money, he has first dibs to his own field. Rabbi Oshe Bezdin v'nimnu. Rabbi said, "She'im shoaso b'fnei Sikrikon 12 chodesh." That if the Sikrikon had Shimon's field for 12 months already, kol hakodem likach zocha. Whoever purchased it from the Sikrikon first can avonos in the violent revia, but he still does need to give Shimon 25%, right? So if Ruvain buys so if it's a year later, then and then Ruvain buys the field and it's $750, he gives Shimon $250. Frakti Gemara hashta barugay amilchama lohaya bo sikrikin marugay milchama ve'elach yesh bo sikrikin. The Mishnah says, I don't understand. Maybe you were thinking this too. There were no sikrikon. There were no people offering offers that couldn't be refused while all the killing was going on, only after the killing. I would imagine if while the killing was going on, that's when the Sikrikon would be making their threatening offers. Right? So again, right, the Mishnah says, Lo haya Sikrikon b'yuda b'arugay milchama. During all the killing, there was no Sikrikons. Me'arugay milchama va'elach yesh ba Sikrikon. Then there is Sikrikon. I don't understand. It would make more sense that these fellows were active while there was killing going on. So Amar Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda lo danu ba din Sikrikon ka'amar. It means that the din of Sikrikon, right? That meaning this whole thing about Ruvain being able to buy the field, and then he has to, basically, at least if we go by the end of the Mishnah, that he needs to pay 25% to Shimon. So this din, right, it was only after all the killing. The Amar of Asi, because Rav Asi says, Shalosh gezeres gazu, that they made 3 gezeres, and like the Romans, and I think that this was they made 3 different gezeres in 3 different stages of the killings. Gezer to Kamaisa, the first gezerah was called Lo Katil Liktilua. Any Ovid Kirchavim who does not kill a Yidala, then we're going to kill him. So basically, at that point, when these Sikrikim were going around and threatening to kill the Yid if he doesn't give him his field, he meant business. And if he didn't kill the Yid, he himself would get killed. He was mamish, he was going to pull the trigger, l'maisa. So in that case, the Yidala is mamish like, yo, this guy means business, here, just take the field. And he meant it, the Yid. He's not playing games. He's not planning on getting it back. His life is on the line. Take it, it's yours. I don't want to see it ever again. I just want to live. Mitzi also at the second stage as well, called the Kotil Laisi Arba Zuze. That if you, that anybody who any Oivik Kachavim who kills a Yid, so he has to pay 4 zuz. But apparently the idea is, apparently there's another gear, so also he receives 4 zuz. But okay, I think the gear argument means he pays 4 zuz, but 4 zuz was not a lot. So okay, there was no repercussions really for killing a Yid. So during this stage as well. And therefore during these first 2 stages, the Yidden were scared out of their pants. And when a Sikrikon comes along and makes an offer that you can't refuse, it's mamish an offer that you mamish can't afford to refuse. But Basrais in the 3rd stage, called the Kotil Liktilua, they said fakert. They said anybody who kills a Yidala, we're going to kill them. Well, in that case, the Sikrikon didn't really have an incentive to actually kill the Yidden, because then he would get killed. So Hilkach Kamaisum Tziosa came the Katle Agav Onse Gomer Makni. Therefore, in the first 2 stages, when these people were serious about their offers, so then the Yidden were scared out of their pants, and they said, "Here, just take it. I don't want to see it ever again." But Basraisa, but in the 3rd stage, after the Haruge Hamilchama, So then the Yidden said, look, he can't kill me, because if he kills me, then he'll get killed. So look, how about this? Let me just say take it, but then I'll take him to court and I'll get it back. So in that case, we have to give Shimon a chance to buy it back, and only after a year, if he doesn't buy it back, so then you still, then you can buy from the Sikrikon and you give Shimon part of it. So that is why the Sikrikon applies after all the people were dying. Friends, we're going to stop here on Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis. Mamish, tomorrow we're going to start with Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Friends, probably everybody's heard of the famous story about Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. So Mamish, we're going to start with that on tomorrow's Daf. Friends, I hope you enjoyed Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis. Peace out.